This is Bill Tinglin with Tour for Tolerance, proud sponsor of this podcast series on the Holocaust. Get ready. This week we take another powerful deep dive into history's darkest hour.
All right, so welcome to another deep dive, everybody.
Yeah.
Today, we're diving into the origins of the Nazi Party.
Sure, yeah, this will be a good one.
We're going to be using a chapter called Birth of the Nazi Party.
Yeah.
Pretty appropriate.
Yeah, right.
I think a lot of people think they know this story,
Right.
but the beginning is really surprising.
Oh, absolutely.
And this isn't about, glorifying the past or anything.
No.
It's about understanding it.
Right.
How did something like this even begin?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the draw for a lot of people with history.
Yeah.
It's the how.
The how.
Yeah, the how did this happen?
Exactly. Like, how do we get from A to, horrific Z?
Right. And I think this is one of the most, stark examples of that.
Yeah.
It's the Nazi Party, right? But it started as something so different.
Yeah, so different.
So
It
different.
started as the German Workers' Party.
Yeah.
The DAP
The DAP.
doesn't exactly scream, future global threat, does it?
No, not at all.
It's almost comical when you think about it.
Yeah.
But that's what's so interesting about this, isn't it?
Right.
How did we get from a group with such an unassuming name
Yeah.
to one of those destructive forces in history?
Right.
I mean, really.
And it's like trying to understand how a seed can grow into a deadly nightshade,
Yeah.
Like, where's that turning point
Yeah.
where it goes from, kind of normal to just absolutely horrific.
Exactly.
So the DAP, they were founded in 1919, right after World War I.
Right.
And Germany was in ruins, just absolutely devastated.
Yeah, I mean, physically and emotionally, I imagine.
Totally, yeah. They had
So-
lost the war. Their economy was in shambles.
Yeah.
Their national pride was just shattered.
Yeah.
So you've got all this resentment, all this instability just
Yeah.
brewing under the surface.
Yeah.
And that's where the DAP steps in.
Okay, so Germany post-war, ripe for the picking, right?
Oh, exactly.
But how does the DAP, a bunch of disgruntled workers, I guess, become the Nazi Party?
Well, that's where our friend Mr. Hitler comes in.
I figured he was lurking somewhere in the shadows here.
He's always lurking.
Yeah.
1919, same year the DAP is founded, he goes to one of their meetings.
Oh, wow.
And he's captivated, He
Right.
sees this opportunity
Yeah.
to channel all this anger, all this frustration into a movement.
Huh.
And within a year, he's basically taken over.
Wow.
Changes the name to the National Socialist German Workers' Party.
Oh, boy, the NSDAP.
NSDAP, yeah, you can kind of see where Nazi comes from.
Right, a little shortened version.
Exactly, just the first word.
Right.
But Hitler, he brought something else to the table,
Yeah.
He had this charisma,
Ah.
this way with words that really resonated with people.
Yeah, it's amazing how a good speaker can really get people riled up.
Oh, absolutely. He knew how to tap into people's emotions,
Yeah.
their fears, their prejudices.
Right.
It's a dangerous combination.
Yeah, but he wasn't alone, was he?
Oh, no, not at all.
There were other figures that helped shape this whole thing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, who are we talking about?
Well, you've got to know about Heinrich Himmler
Okay.
and Joseph Goebbels,
All right, Himmler, Goebbels.
the sinister duo
Yeah.
that brought Hitler's vision to life.
Okay.
Himmler, he was the head of the SS.
Oh, okay.
The SS, that was the elite security force,
Yeah.
responsible for carrying out a lot of the Nazi regime's brutality.
Yeah.
He was cold, calculating,
Yeah.
just the embodiment of ruthlessness.
Yeah.
Goebbels, on the other hand, he was the propaganda guy,
Okay.
the master of spin.
Yeah.
He shaped public perception, created this whole cult of personality around Hitler.
Oh, wow.
Imagine if social media existed back then.
Oh, my God.
He would have been a Twitter legend.
Yeah, or a total nightmare.
Yeah, depending on how you look at it.
Right.
Yeah, they were both essential to the Nazis' rise.
Okay, so we've got Hitler, the captivating leader. Himmler, the architect of terror. And Goebbels, the master manipulator.
The propaganda machine.
Yeah, so how do they actually convince people to buy into this whole twisted worldview?
Well, you got to look at the ideology itself.
Okay.
It was a toxic blend
Yeah.
of Aryan supremacy
Yeah.
and just fervent anti-Semitism.
Right.
They believed that Germans, the Aryans, were superior,
Uh-huh.
destined to rule.
Right.
And the Jews,
Yeah.
they were the enemy, the
Yeah.
scapegoat for all of Germany's problems.
It's crazy that people actually believe this master race stuff.
I know, it's hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
But that's where Mein Kampf comes in.
Mein Kampf, Hitler's book, right?
Exactly.
That's the deal with that.
Well, he wrote it in 1925 while he was in prison.
He's in prison.
Oh, yeah. He was arrested after a failed coup attempt.
Oh, okay.
But even behind bars, he was still spreading his hate.
Wow.
Mein Kampf. It's like a blueprint for his twisted vision.
Okay, so what did he write in there that was so influential?
Well, it's like looking into the darkest corners of his mind.
Yeah.
He outlines his belief in Aryan supremacy, his just venomous hatred of Jews,
Right.
and his plans for their removal.
Oh, wow.
It's chilling stuff.
Yeah.
But it became a cornerstone of Nazi ideology.
It's disturbing to think people actually read this and were like, yeah, I'm on board.
I know, it's hard to believe.
Yeah.
But he was a master manipulator, remember?
Right, right.
He knew how to twist words to play on people's fears and make them believe his lies.
So how did the Nazi Party, with this hateful ideology, manage to actually gain power?
It was a slow climb,
Okay.
a mix of political maneuvering and just brute force intimidation.
Okay, a two-pronged approach.
Exactly.
Oh, win over the masses with, I guess, persuasive rhetoric.
Yeah.
And then silence anyone who disagrees.
Right. They used beer hall meetings as platforms for Hitler's speeches.
Okay.
You know, he'd tap into people's anxieties, promised to restore Germany to its former glory.
Playing on emotions and using violence.
Yeah, a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, for sure.
They appealed to nationalism, played on economic anxieties,
Right.
scapegoated minorities.
Yeah.
All classic tactics of extremist movements.
And how did they use violence? Did they have their own army or something?
Pretty much, yeah. They
Okay.
had the SA, the Sturmabteilung,
Okay.
also known as the Brown Shirt.
The brown shirts, okay.
They were the Nazi Party's paramilitary wing.
I've seen pictures.
Yeah.
Scary looking dudes.
Oh, yeah, they were thugs.
Yeah.
Used to disrupt political meetings,
Uh-huh.
intimidate opponents,
Right.
create an atmosphere of fear.
So spreading the message through propaganda
Yeah.
and silencing dissent through violence.
That's the Nazi way.
Okay, but what about that failed coup, the Beer Hall Putsch?
Ah, yes.
It seemed like a setback for them.
Yeah, it was.
But did it help them in any way?
Ironically, yes.
Okay.
The putsch itself was a disaster. It
Uh-huh.
happened in November 1923. It was quickly suppressed,
Okay.
and Hitler was arrested.
Wow.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
He turned his trial for treason into a propaganda opportunity.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he used it to present himself as a martyr,
Wow.
a patriot fighting for the true Germany.
Really?
Oh, yeah, his speeches captivated people.
Wow.
They resonated with a wider audience.
So even in defeat, he was still strategizing.
Oh, absolutely.
That's wild.
He never stopped.
So we've got the context, the key players, the ideology.
Right.
What's next in this journey? How do they go from a fringe group to a party that's on the verge of seizing power?
Well, that's a story for part 2.
All right, so stay tuned, everybody.
We'll be back.
Welcome back to our deep dive.
Yeah.
Into the origins of the Nazi Party.
Yeah.
We kind of laid the groundwork.
Yeah, we've got the foundation.
We talked about the key players,
Right.
this unsettling ideology.
Yeah.
But now let's get into how they actually gain power.
Right.
It's one thing to have a hateful message. It's another to, convince a nation to embrace it.
Yeah, that's the part that always gets me, the how. It's a puzzle, a twisted historical puzzle.
Right.
With way too many disturbing pieces.
Yeah, and it's not like an overnight coup.
No.
It's a slow climb to power.
A slow, calculated climb.
Yeah, and I think we kind of touched on this earlier.
Yeah.
But, Germany was in such a fragile state after World War I.
Oh, absolutely.
So did the Nazis just, target those anxieties, those frustrations that people were feeling?
100%.
Okay.
Imagine a nation just shell-shocked from defeat, burdened with these crippling war reparations,
Yeah.
and facing hyperinflation so severe, their currency was practically worthless.
Right.
People were desperate.
Yeah.
Desperate for solutions, someone to blame, a glimmer of hope.
Right.
And the Nazis offered all of that.
But in a really twisted package.
Oh, yeah, a poisonous package for sure.
So they're offering a scapegoat and a promise of, I guess, revival.
Right.
Kind of like a political snake oil salesman.
Right. Ooh, That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they pointed the finger at minorities, especially Jews,
Okay.
claiming they were responsible for Germany's economic woes,
Right.
the humiliation of their defeat.
Right.
They tapped into those deep-seated prejudices,
Yeah.
offered simplistic solutions to really complex problems.
And that's scary how effective that can be.
Oh, incredibly effective.
Especially when people are feeling vulnerable.
Absolutely. When you're desperate, you're more likely to believe anything that offers hope,
Yeah.
even if it's based on hate and lies.
Right. But it wasn't just words.
No, not at all.
They got pretty brutal.
Oh, yeah. They had the SA, the Sturmabteilung.
The brown shirts.
The brown shirts, yep.
We all know the pictures.
Oh, yeah. Marching in formation, faces full of hate.
Yeah, it's scary.
They were thugs, plain and simple.
Yeah.
Used to terrorize anyone who opposed them.
So how else did they spread their message besides violence?
Propaganda, propaganda, propaganda.
They were good at that, weren't they?
Masters of it. They understood the power of imagery, of emotion.
Okay.
They used rallies, massive rallies with these dramatic speeches
Mm-hmm.
to create this spectacle of national unity. Strength posters everywhere, depicting heroic Aryan figures demonizing their enemies.
Oh, wow.
And they were early adopters of radio.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Broadcasting their message straight into people's homes.
It's like they created this alternate reality.
Yeah, a parallel universe where their twisted vision was the only truth.
It's crazy.
They weren't just spreading information, they were crafting a narrative.
Right.
A story that people wanted to believe in.
Yeah, a story of a glorious past,
Yeah.
a stolen present,
Exactly.
and a future where Germany was back on top.
Exactly. They gave people a villain.
Yeah.
And a hero.
Right.
A simple story.
But surely some people saw through this.
Of course, there were those who saw the danger,
Yeah.
but their voices were drowned out
Yeah.
by the propaganda,
Right.
silenced by fear.
Yeah, because speaking out against the Nazis was dangerous.
Oh, incredibly dangerous.
Yeah.
You could be beaten, imprisoned, even killed.
Yeah, so fear and intimidation played a huge role in their success.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Fear is a powerful weapon.
it is.
It can make people compromise their values, betray their own beliefs.
Yeah, so we talked about the Beer Hall Putsch,
Right.
that failed coup attempt.
Right. Hitler's little misadventure.
Yeah, so he used his trial to kind of gain notoriety.
Yeah, he turned it into a stage for his propaganda.
But did that event change the Nazi Party's trajectory in any way?
You know, it's interesting.
Yeah.
The Beer Hall Putsch, even though it was a failure,
Uh.
it was a turning point.
Okay.
It forced them to rethink their approach.
Okay.
They realized that a violent takeover wasn't going to work.
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet, exactly.
Yeah.
They needed to play the long game,
Okay.
infiltrate the system from within.
So shift from brute force to a more subtle political strategy.
Exactly. They started focusing on winning seats in parliament,
Okay.
building alliances,
Right.
exploiting the weaknesses of the Weimar Republic.
Okay.
They were patient, calculating,
Yeah.
ruthlessly opportunistic.
So they were learning from their mistakes.
Absolutely. They were constantly adapting,
Right.
adjusting their tactics to fit the political landscape.
Yeah, it seems like they were really good at that.
Oh, they were masters at reading the political winds.
Yeah.
They understood the power of compromise, of appearing moderate when it suited them,
Right.
but they never lost sight of their core ideology.
Okay, so we've got this mix of propaganda, violence, political maneuvering.
Yeah.
Was there anything that really launched them into the forefront of German politics?
The Great Depression.
The Great Depression. Okay.
Yeah, it was a major turning point.
Okay.
The global economic crisis
Right.
hit Germany hard,
Yeah.
deepened the sense of despair,
Right.
fueled the desire for radical solutions.
And the Nazis were right there.
Oh, they were ready.
Yeah.
They exploited that crisis brilliantly,
Wow.
presenting themselves as the only ones who could restore order, bring back prosperity.
It's like they were waiting for this to happen.
It was the perfect storm for them.
Yeah.
Unemployment soared. People lost faith in the system.
Yeah.
And the Nazis stepped right in,
Right.
offering scapegoats, promises of national revival,
Right.
that seductive message of strength and unity.
Yeah.
Their support skyrocketed.
Wow.
And in the 1933 elections,
Yeah.
they became the largest party in the Reichstag.
So the economic collapse, the propaganda, yeah, the intimidation.
It all came together
Yeah.
to propel them to the top.
It's a scary example of how quickly things can change.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, a democracy crumbling in the face of fear and division.
It's a sobering lesson.
Yeah.
One that we should never forget.
Right.
The Nazi Party's rise wasn't inevitable.
Right.
It was a series of choices.
Yeah.
A chain of events that could have unfolded differently.
So by 1933, the Nazis are the largest party in the Reichstag.
Right.
They're in a position of power.
Yeah.
But they haven't fully seized control yet.
Not yet.
So what happens next?
Well, that's where things get really dark.
Okay.
And that's a story for part 3.
All right. So welcome back to the deep dive.
Yeah.
We've been on quite a journey,
Yeah.
tracing the rise of the Nazi Party.
Right. From those,
From their humble beginnings as the DAP.
Yeah, the DAP. Who would have thought?
To, the dominant force in Germany.
It's a wild story.
It really is a story filled with twists and turns.
More than a few chilling moments.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's about to get even more chilling.
Right, because now we're getting to the part where they consolidate their power.
Yeah.
Transform Germany into a totalitarian state.
This is the final act.
Yeah, the really dark period.
Where they take complete control.
And I think that's what I find so fascinating, yet terrifying.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like, how did they do it?
Right.
How did they achieve this level of control?
Yeah, it's the how that keeps me up at night. We've talked about Germany being this beacon of enlightenment, progress, all that.
Yeah.
And then they just descend into this abyss of tyranny and terror.
Yeah, it's like a nightmare you can't wake up from.
Exactly.
So let's dive into this final chapter.
All right, so we left off with the Nazi Party as the biggest player in the Reichstag.
Right, after the 1933 elections.
Yeah, they had momentum, but they weren't in absolute control.
Not yet.
What followed was a series of calculated moves,
Okay.
each one tightening their grip on power
Right.
until all opposition was crushed.
So walk me through it. What were the key steps?
Okay, well, one of the most pivotal moments was the Reichstag fire.
The Reichstag fire. Okay.
This was in February 1933.
Okay.
Imagine the Reichstag building, symbol of German democracy,
Right.
goes up in flames,
Oh.
and the Nazis immediately blame the communists,
Oh, okay.
using it to justify a crackdown on their opponents.
So they used a crisis, maybe even manufactured it, who knows?
Right, we might never know for sure.
To their advantage.
Yeah, classic tactic of authoritarian regimes.
Create a sense of panic and then present yourself as the solution.
Exactly. We're the only ones who can restore order.
Right. Right.
And that's exactly what they did.
Wow.
Just a month after the Reichstag fire, the Enabling Act was passed.
The Enabling Act, what was that?
This act basically gave Hitler dictatorial powers.
Oh, wow.
He could rule by decree, bypass the parliament altogether.
So in a few months, they went from being the largest party to having total control.
Yeah, it was a chillingly efficient power grab.
Fueled by fear and propaganda.
Oh, absolutely. They were masters of manipulation.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
The SA was already creating a climate of fear.
Right.
And they controlled the media.
So they could spin the narrative however they wanted.
Exactly. People were scared.
Yeah.
And they wanted someone to lead them out of the chaos.
And Hitler was right there.
Oh, yeah. The savior, he called himself.
Wow.
The strong man who could restore order and make Germany great again.
A classic tactic, and it worked.
It did, unfortunately.
So they eliminate their opposition, ban other political parties.
Yep. Trade unions were dissolved.
Wow.
Anyone who spoke out was silenced.
So a one-party state, a dictatorship.
Exactly.
Was there any resistance?
There were pockets, brave individuals, and small groups who risked everything to oppose the Nazis.
But that must have been so difficult.
Oh, incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Under a totalitarian regime, organized resistance is almost impossible.
Because everyone's watching everyone else.
Right. The Nazis created the surveillance state.
Yeah.
Neighbors spied on neighbors.
Oh, wow.
Children were encouraged to report on their parents.
It's like something out of a dystopian novel.
It was a nightmare.
So how did they maintain this control for so long?
Fear was a big part of it.
Yeah.
But they also used propaganda to create this cult of personality around Hitler.
Right, like he was this godlike figure.
Exactly.
Oh,
they
wow.
indoctrinated children through the Hitler Youth,
Right.
controlled the media, the education system, even the arts.
So every aspect of German life was aligned with their worldview.
Exactly. They had their hooks in everything.
That's terrifying.
It was a very effective way to maintain power.
Yeah, but let's talk about the darkest chapter of Nazi rule, the Holocaust.
Right.
How did they go from persecuting Jews to systematically exterminating them?
It was a gradual process, a descent into unimaginable barbarity.
Yeah.
It started with discrimination, social exclusion,
Okay.
then escalated to violence, imprisonment in concentration camps.
Right.
They dehumanized Jews,
Yeah.
portrayed them as a threat to the Aryan race.
This virus that needed to be eradicated.
Exactly.
It's hard to comprehend how a society could be so brainwashed.
It's a chilling reminder of the dangers of unchecked prejudice.
Right.
The power of propaganda to distort reality.
To poison people's minds.
The Holocaust is a testament to the fragility of civilization.
Yeah.
It shows how darkness can take root even in the most enlightened societies.
This has been a really heavy journey.
It has.
But as disturbing as it is,
Yeah.
we need to understand how something like this could happen.
Absolutely. We have to learn from the past.
Recognize the warning signs.
Speak out against injustice.
Never take our freedoms for granted.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, thank you for taking us on this journey.
You're welcome.
And to our listeners, we hope you found this deep dive insightful.
Yeah, even if it was a bit unsettling.
Knowledge is power, so stay informed, stay engaged,
Keep asking questions.
and we'll see you on the next deep dive.
Take care.